What's up? Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am PJ. So when I was in the military, we did a whole lot of training. And the mission is generally go to war and win, right? And so the Army has to every day train for that mission. Whatever their little piece of the pie is, they train for it. But their little piece of the pie is large. And when I was in Special Forces, we would do a lot of chunks of training. If this is a mission, we would do different parts of it. We'd go train on it all day. Example, parachuting out of an airplane. All right, so we're gonna go parachute today. Maybe we'll jump 2 or 3 times and we're getting good at parachuting, but that's only part of the mission. You know, you parachute into an enemy country and you do these things. Or we would go to the range and we would shoot. And again, that's only a small part of the mission. We would do physical training every day. But every now and then, probably, be honest, once every 2 months or so, we would do some kind of training event that we would call a full mission profile, meaning we would plan the mission and then execute the training mission soup to nuts, from infiltration to movement to the objective, actions on the objective, recover from the objective, exfiltration, all the way back AAR. And of course that takes time, right? In the civilian world, it is very difficult to get training like that. Sure, you can go get pieces of the training. And I'm talking to you as a prepper, as a Viking, right? Viking preparedness. How do you get a full mission profile for operating at the, SHTF WROL? One thing we did here, the congregation, if you will, to put it in terms you'll understand, every year we observe some of the Father's feasts. You can read about them in Leviticus, right? Leviticus chapter 23. And we try to observe all those feasts. And one of those is Sukkot, which we have coming up in the fall, where God commands us to go camping for a week, right? And so normally the way this is done throughout the country is groups of people get together and they camp and they do fun things, and there's activities and cookouts and it's just a big camping trip. Well, we decided 2 years ago that we were going to treat it as an exercise. And so everybody who participated with us bugged out to Shofar Mountain, meaning they brought all their stuff and they brought all their animals. And we are an agricultural people. We have a lot of animals. Normally on Sukkot, the animals stay home and people will go home once a day or every other day to take care of their critters, and then they'll come back. This time we brought all the critters because when the balloon goes up, we're all consolidating here and we're going to have, herds and flocks, and you can't put all your chickens together and so on. And the whole week wasn't an exercise, but we did things like take out long-term storage food and prepare it, make meals, grind the wheat, grind the corn, make the tortillas, make a meal out of it, that kind of thing. And we learned a lot. And we learned a lot because we did after action reviews and said, all right, this went well, we need to sustain this. This didn't go well. We need to change this. This didn't work at all. We got to figure out something totally different. And that was, as a prepper goes, that was good training for after an event. Well, I just spent a couple hours today with the exercise training division of Grindstone Medical. Remember that video I posted yesterday? They asked me to post it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll post it. Well, I went and talked to them. They kind of consulted on this exercise that they're having. Man, the people who participate in that exercise, they're in for a treat. There is very little way for one to get that kind of training. And that training, for the exercise I'm talking about, is the night portion of it. There's like a 1-day emergency responder 1 and 2, which is kind of like tactical combat casualty care, trauma, first aid, kind of, dealing with gunshot wounds and big bleeds and wound packing and all that. And then emergency responder 3 is the next day, and that's kind of a hands-on, scenario-driven course, well, then they've added another module, if you will, where either if teams come to the training, then a whole team can go out on this module as a team, or if individuals come, which right now it's looking like more individuals are signed up, they'll be put into a team and then given a team mission. And I can't go into the details of it because it's classified, but it's going to be a good mission, and there's going to be some really cool training events in it. And again, I can't tell you what they are, but I got to thinking, I don't know where one would get this kind of training outside of not just the military, but a relatively high-speed military unit. Very interesting to me how it's going to go. And so unabashedly, I would recommend that if you're even considering something like that, give them a look. I left a link in yesterday's video. You can go find it if you're interested. If you have questions, call them, ask them. But were I a civilian, with not knowing what I know because of my military service, I would go. I would probably take my wife and go also. And because it's for women too. It's not just for dudes. It's definitely for women also. And so there's that for training. Set that over here. Y'all need to train more. We don't default to the level of our expectations, or we don't rise to the level of our expectations in any kind of serious, traumatic, scary, stressful situation. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. That's the level of your expectations. We don't rise to that. We default to the level of our training and experience. And so if you haven't trained on something, it doesn't matter what you've read in a book or watched on YouTube or anything like that. You have to train on it, and you have to pressure test it. You have to train in a realistic scenario. Ideally, that doesn't just like go in, deal with this scenario, 5 minutes later you're done. Okay, you did good, but maybe you do this. No. I'm talking like extend it into a day or 2 or 3. In the military, we do exercises like that for a week or 2. You learn, it's hard, for those who haven't done it, it's hard to put into words how much different it is being an immersive training that goes on than just attending a class. There are people here who have done similar things, and I'm quite confident they'll say, yep, you're right. And so to that end, if you're in a crew, one, you should consider doing that course. Go as a crew. Take advantage of it. Practice what you think you're going to do and act like as a crew in the event. Practice that with some outside stressors and let somebody else run the exercise. You don't have to set it up. You don't know what's happening next. Do that. Failing that, and if you're an individual, just go. They'll put you on a team. But failing that, if you have a crew, you need to plan some real exercises. I think something you might be able to do, and again, I know I'm speaking to a 2% of y'all who actually have viable crews. Find other crews, mags, teams in your area, and try to do some combined training. We do a fair bit of training as a tribe, but I am motivated after today's meeting to reach out to some other local mags, some of whom are here, and say, hey, why don't we do some stuff together? And not opposing each other. It's not like you guys, it's not like playing paintball. You guys are blue team, we're yellow team. Let's charge each other and kill each other. No, let's set up some training where we have to do things where we cooperate, we check out, we don't know. Picture a scenario of, it's in the Postman and elsewhere, like a set up flea market after the event where people are trading and selling and buying. How does that work? How does your own personal security work? How does negotiating with people you don't know and you don't know whether to trust or not? Let's pressure test that a little bit. What about a chance meeting? What about trying to establish a link up with somebody? All these things, you can set up some fairly complicated training. Now, Just like in the Refuge Medical course, there's 2 pretty intense long days of training before the night, pressure testing. Let's go into a real exercise, real flavored exercise. You can't get together with a group of people you haven't trained for before on things you haven't trained and then say, let's do all this. You're gonna have to do the little chunks of training first before you try to put it all together. Does that make sense? And so you could get with another crew, and I'm just talking off the top of my head here. You could, maybe have the leaders link up and say, all right, let's do this kind of general scenario. Okay, let's do it here. What are our TLOs, our terminal learning objectives? What do we want to get out of this as the 2 separate MAGs, crews, teams? Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so then that means before we do this, my team needs to train up on this and review this again and figure this out. And the other guy will be like, yep, or gal, yep. And then we'll get together and do the exercise. And then do an after action review. The after action review is very important. I tell my people all the time, how good do you want to be? How good is good enough? When the event happens and you have to deal with things, how good do you want to be? If you want to be good at something, you're going to have to invest blood, sweat, and tears, time and energy into preparing for that. Give that some thought. The thought of real training, real comprehensive training. And if you know other places where this kind of training is available, put it in the comments. No links in the comments. Be creative. If people can't find it on Google based on information you give, they don't need to find it, right? Come on. Although I am told that INTJs, India November Tango Juliet, we have some strange ability of Google foo that other people don't possess, and we just scratch our heads and wonder why not. I don't know. Hey, I appreciate y'all. Get out there and start training. Oh, and just let me finish with this. I had a talk with one of the brothers, and we both agreed. We're both trying to get fitter. That's one of the most important things for physically surviving what's coming, is being fit. And fitness requires time and energy. I spent probably a half hour, 45 minutes today looking at different videos on fitness, just kind of some educational, some motivational. A group of us did the 75 hard thing a while ago. I decided I wasn't going to do it because, as it was explained to me, you had to take a cold shower every day. And quite frankly, I can go operate in cold water. I've done it many times. I won't curl up in a ball and say, this sucks, I want to go home. I will say this sucks while it's happening, but I hate it. Not gonna do it. And I'm like, yeah, I've done hard things. I don't need to do that. But then I watched a bunch of videos saying cold showers wasn't even in there. If you don't know what 75 hard is, watch some videos on it. Just Google it or YouTube search it. 75 hard. Somebody asked me here before, how do you develop mental discipline? How does one develop toughness? How does one develop hardness? I think my overall answer was set yourself goals and do what you said you were gonna do. 75 hard gives you a structure in which to do that. Just give you that. But yeah, start working out. Pretty much every day, start working out. Because after the event, you ain't gonna be sitting on your couch looking at YouTube, right? You're gonna be moving that body, so get it moving now. All right, I appreciate y'all. I will. See you out there.